Welcome back to Comics Choice. My guest tonight is Sean Locke. Thank you. We're going to talk about stand-ups now and your nominations for best stand-ups. Your first nomination, Sam Kinison, who was a kind of... He was an ex-Pentecostal, he was a preacher, he had this extraordinary sort of style. It was like a sermon, and he had an amazing sort of voice as well. Let's just see a bit of Sam Kinison. Here we go.
I'm a little different than the other comics you're going to see in the other comedy. Difference between me and them is that you might want to see them again sometime. Because I don't have an act. I don't have a home. I don't have a car. I didn't eat yesterday. I had to borrow these clothes. She took it all! I was married for 2 years, and I think someone put a primal scream! But I try not to have an attitude about it. I want to get along with women, you know. But I'm going around, I'm trying to talk people out of getting married if I can. I did it, it doesn't work. Didn't work for me. You ever been married? What's your name? Gary. Well, Gary, if you ever think about getting married, if you ever think you've met the right girl, you want to settle down, get a house, get a car, will you do me a favor, Gary? Remember this face.
He was a fantastic comedian. I mean, when I was asked to do this, I just thought I'd like to choose comedians that people really haven't maybe seen or heard of a great deal, and who were kind of original right from the very start. And I think he was one of those people who just appeared on the comedy scene in the sort of late 80s and was totally different to any... and much copied, a huge influence, but totally different to anyone else who was performing at the time, and as just this ferocious performer, and really un-PC, really outrageous routines. I mean, he got into a lot of trouble for some of his routines. He talked about AIDS a great deal. He talked about the famine in Ethiopia. You saw, when you watch him initially, you think he's this real reactionary right-wing lunatic. But actually, when you analyse what he was saying, he was kind of pointing out hypocrisies, which is what good comics do. And I think what's interesting about him is he's influenced a lot of comedy since, that kind of comedy of sort of unjustifiable rage. But he actually had quite a lot of justification for his rage, because he had a string of miserable relationships. He was deeply hurt. I mean, looking like that, you know, I mean, you obviously share a barber with him. He felt brutally hurt by a string of women, and he was furious. He was livid about it. He's much copied, and a lot of people are influenced by him.
Well, you talk about influential stand-ups. The next one is Lenny Bruce. So let's have a look at Lenny Bruce.
There's one guy on the coast who's got like a nutty sense of humor, you know. His name is Paul Coates, and he found out, like there were kids that 8 and 9 years old that were sniffing airplane glue. I had sort of a fantasy how it happened. Well, let's see now. I'm all alone in the room, and it's Saturday. Mother's away, and what'll I do that's good and hostile? Well, let's see. I'll make an airplane. That's good. I'll make a Lancaster. Good structural design. I'll get the bolts wood. I'll sand it here. I'll cut that off. I'll get the struts now. Now I'll get a little airplane glue. I'll rub it on the rag and, Hey, now, it's a nutty plane. I'm getting loaded. Is this possible, loaded on airplane glue? Maybe it's just stuffy in here. I'll call my dog over. Flicker. Flicker, come here, darling, and smell this rag. Smell that, you freaky little doggy. Smell that rag, Flicker. Flicker. Flicker! It worked. I'm the Louis Pasteur of junkiedom.
Again, it's very difficult to find any clips of him, because obviously a lot of it wasn't filmed. It was just... It caused outrage in the clubs. For people that probably, don't know about the history of Lenny Bruce, he was embroiled in all these sort of obscenity trials, because he would talk about oral sex on stage, and he would be quite graphic about it. And he would be arrested for it and hauled off the stage.
The reason I chose him was, again, I think he's probably the most influential comedian on modern comedians, on whatever modern comedy is, because as I remember, when I first encountered him, well, I was about 21, 22, and I was living with this girl who had one of his albums. And the first time I ever heard a comedian use comedy as a form of self-expression. Until then, comedy was always a sort of encased in the sort of joke format. Even if there was a routine to it, it was still in the joke format. This was a man who actually expressing how he felt about the world. And he was doing this in the mid-1950s. And to me, that was quite... I'd never heard anyone do that. So I would listen to this album over and over again. It's called Thank You, Mask Man. So I was kind of enamoured of him. And then as I became a stand-up, I became more interested in him. He didn't want to be this sort of pioneer of shocking, dangerous comedy. I don't think he wanted to be a comedian. He wanted to tell jokes. He wanted to talk about things he wanted to talk about. But America was such a restrictive place at the time that when he said cocksuckers on stage, they hauled him off. And he went to trial a number of times. And in the end, they stopped him playing clubs, they stopped him earning a living, they stopped him doing what he's done. But also, they drove him slightly mad by always having policemen in the venue. Yeah. So he would be performing, almost tempting him to say the word that would then get him hauled out. I mean, not necessarily the funniest comedian. To me, incredibly influential and inspirational. And I think, in time, he will be one of the comedians that will be remembered.
Yeah. There was a great deal of passion about what he did as well. That's the thing. He sort of threw himself into it. And another comic that you've chosen would be, I'd say, would fall into that category, and that's Johnny Vegas.
Johnny Vegas. I'm not a comedian. I'm a trained potter. Spent 4 years working, believing that Claire was the way. And after 4 years, do you know how they repaid me? They give me the lowest grade in the group. And that's not a joke, love. That's poignancy. I'm going to do a challenge. Picture it, love. A teapot, fully functional, in under a minute. 1, 2, 3, go! Do it, create a bit of tension. 55, 54. I've spat on the camera. I asked for string. I know, I can hear you. You're taking pleasure in it, are you? It's not a proper wheel.
It's kind of thing that, yeah, I mean, it's really raw and quite sort of personal. Why did you choose Johnny then?
I chose Johnny because, again, he was formed right from the very start. There was no calculation ever in his act. Yeah. I'd heard loads about him and I saw the end of his first tour. And during the course of the tour, he'd done his knee in, he'd fallen over drunk and done his knee in. And then a couple of nights before that gig, he'd been drinking with Leo Sayer, he told me afterwards, and twisted his ankle. So he actually came on a Zimmer frame with a pint sort of thing to hold his pint and an ashtray. And he walked on and he did this show, and it's the best live performance I've ever seen. I saw him do a gig once, and he started chatting to this kid. He had the Potter's Wheel at the time. He spoke to this kid, and it was his... was it his 18th birthday or his 21st birthday, something like that. And he was going, so this is it, this is it. This is what your 21st birthday is. This is rubbish, just come and see a comedian. Yeah. As you can see, I don't do impressions. Anyway, he says, I'll show you a birthday. And he pulled the kid onto stage, and he shouted to the bar, he wanted... it was like 16 double vodkas. He got them on stage, and he was making a pot, and he was, like, knocking back these double vodkas with this kid while he was making a pot. And then he ended up throwing up onto the potter's wheel after he'd done about 10 of them, and then making a pot out of clay and puke. So I think... You've got to take your hats off to that.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to ask you again, I'm just going to put you through this, Sean, to make a choice. But before that, I know you've said to me over the years that because I play an instrument, it's a form of torture for you. because you can't play an instrument.
I don't know. I don't. What I don't like. What used to annoy me was when you have some friends round, and you go, let's have a sing-song, and then somebody could play the piano. You play the piano. Someone play the guitar. Someone else go, oh, I've got the clarinet, and then all these people playing instruments, and I'm just sat there going, and I felt like someone in a wheelchair. Everyone's going, let's all go upstairs. No, I don't have any musical talent whatsoever.
OK, well, I'm going to try and elucidate that from you. I'm going to ask you to join me in the music area.
OK.
Sean Locke, join me in the music area over this way. Now, so...
What's this, then?
This?
Play the blanket?
Yeah. Can you... no, I'll reveal what is in here. This is the... this is a bona fide musical instrument.
I didn't think you'd been nicking bikes.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got a lovely sound to them, and you can play tunes on them. And then it gets a bit tricky. It's not too bad. I'm going to try and teach you something, Sean.
OK.
I'll play a bit of the Blue Danube, and all you've got to do is...
Is that...
You know the one? Yeah. OK? No. You can... Try that in.
Oh, I see.
Right, there you go.
Like it's a tune?
Yeah, like it's a tune. This is the Albert Hall.
This is why I've got no musical talent.
That's it. There we go. Right, I'll try this.
Bill, that shows the show hasn't been going very well. If that gets clapped.
I'm a grown
We've been
man.
dying on our arse down there. They go, thank Christ for that.
Let's do more of it, then.
Piece of piss, isn't it?
No. You see, that's just jazz. That's jazz now. I'll play a little section. This is...
I came out and feel resentful and left out.
OK, yeah. This is the main riff from Gary Newman's Cars. OK, so I've tortured you enough. I need you to make a choice.
This one. I like this one.
That one. Your favourite stand-up?
The fat one.
The fat one, all right. Favourite stand-up, Sam Kinison. Here we go, have a look.
They didn't have any kids, though. That's good. That's real hell. You seen those guys with the strollers? The little babies? Have you seen those guys walking the streets? With that look on their face like they envy the dead? It's like... Remember that face, Gary?